In this section, I want to give you an overview of the four main techniques that we'll be combining in different ways throughout this course for relational data modeling. The first technique is embedding, which just means adding data directly to a document. For example, we might have a post collection, and then inside of a document, we'll have a field called tags, and we'll put all of our tags directly in this document instead of normalizing them to their own collection. This is typically the first technique you should consider because it's the most performant and also the most cost effective because you only need one document read to get all of your data. But it's really only practical if you have a dataset that's small enough to fit within 1 megabyte. And you also don't have the ability to query any embedded data, so you just have to read the entire document every time you want to access it. Technique number 2 is to create a root collection. Instead of embedding the data, we'll give each tag its own document in another root collection, and then reference its ID in the post document. So we create a tag document called cool, and then provide the same data that we had in the embedded map in the previous example. With tags, we have a many-to-many relationship where a tag has many posts and a post has many tags. An individual post will maybe only have 1 to 5 tags on it if you think of something like Twitter, but a tag might have thousands or millions of posts associated with it. With a root collection, we can maintain the relationship by simply referencing the tag IDs on the post document. Since we have multiple tags, we'll go ahead and use an array, but if you just have one tag or if you just have a one-to-one relationship, you could just use a property on the document. So now we know the name or ID of the tags that we want to use, and we can pull in those documents individually if we need them for a specific view. Root collections are really nice because they have a lot of flexibility when querying across multiple properties. But another technique is to nest this data as a subcollection. This will scope the data to an individual document, but we only actually read the data if we request it specifically. So we'll click the Add Collection button inside of this document and then create a new collection called tags. And you'll notice that there's a path that starts at post, goes to the post ID, and then to the tags collection under this document. The nice thing about a subcollection is that our one-to-many relationship between posts and tags is just set up implicitly because we can just reference this collection from beneath the document. So we don't need to set up that array of tag IDs like we did with the root collection example. But you have to be careful with subcollections because you can't query them across other collections at the same level. So for example, if we had another post that also had a tag subcollection, we wouldn't be able to query across some shared property across those subcollections. And we'll look closer at that when we get to the one-to-many section. Now, the next technique is one that doesn't really have an official name, but I like to call it bucketing. With embedded data, we have one document read, but we might be pulling in some data that we don't actually need. With a collection, we might need to make multiple document reads just for a small amount of data. So a bucket is sort of a trade-off between these two, where we create a new document in a different collection, but that document has all of the relational data embedded on it. We'll go ahead and do this as a root collection, so we'll create a collection called tags, and then we'll create a document ID that matches the ID of the post document. So we have two documents with the same ID, one in the tags collection and one in the post collection. So if we want to read the data for a post, we grab the post by that ID. And if we also want to show the tag data in that screen or that view, then we can read the tag document as well with the same exact ID. In other words, you have one document to show the main post data, and then you have a second document called tags, which is just there to hold the relational data. So if you had a post with 50 tags on it, you could display all the data with just 2 document reads instead of 51 document reads. So embedding, root collections, subcollections, and bucketing are the 4 main techniques that we'll be combining throughout this course to build increasingly complex data models. But before we get to that point, we need to understand how Firestore queries work and what their limitations are.